Alright, so now we are about to do the front roller. We're going to service the front roller for this particular lane. This is just a hollow tube, or yeah, big old hollow tube, and there's a little shaft in the middle, and there's two black plastic caps on both sides that actually lock into the big hollow tube and also set the bearing for the shaft right here. And we are going to replace this bearing, and we're going to replace the shaft. I don't know if you can get the angle, but there's a lot of wear right here, so we're going to actually just replace this whole shaft. So let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this over here, and I'm going to show you that there is a shaft collar right here. It's held in by a 2.5 millimeter bolt. It requires a 2.5 millimeter hex to remove it. There's usually a nut on the other side. This one is broken, so I don't have to worry about that today. I just got to worry about getting this side out. Which, there you go, it's broke. So now at this point, this should slide up. I might need to persuade it a little bit. Probably be easier if I put pressure on both sides. Find another screwdriver. There we go. You see all that action now. This shouldn't really be stuck on here this bad, but it is. And now we've got the shaft collar removed. We're going to need a 10 millimeter socket or wrench to loosen up these 3 bolts. These bolts actually lock the black cap into the roller, and you'll see that once I remove them. And I'm taking these pretty much all the way up. I'm not going to take them off. No, don't take the nuts off because the bolts will fall through to the bottom. Alright, and now I should be able to get a screwdriver in here and start working this cap up a little bit, like that. And now the cap should just slide off, but we had that problem earlier with the I'm trying to be really careful because I don't want to break this cap. Work this off here eventually. Alternatively, I could hold this up and hammer down on the shaft here. I might try that. Just to get this guy moving. Now we're getting somewhere. Set this guy back up. I'm almost there. I need to find something smaller. Sockets around here that might fit. This is a 16. Go down to a 12. Same situation, I'm just going to lift the roller up in the air. Hopefully, be able to pull this off. Kind of a pain. I've never had to do it this way before, but I can see this being kind of a pain in the butt. I could try a puller. Never really had to use a puller on this before, but you know, it was the first time for everything. This shaft is in bad shape, so I'm not surprised. Well, I just broke the cap, and I knew that wasn't going to be a good deal here. I'm going to go see if I have a spare cap now. Alright, so what I've done here is I've just taken a file and I've just filed all the way around this shaft like this, just to make sure there's nothing left for this thing to bind onto. This shaft is getting replaced, so it doesn't matter if I undershave or overshave it or not, or whatever. The important thing is getting the cap off of this thing. And it's been kind of a struggle so far. And I assume that it will remain a struggle. So long as it can remain a struggle. This is a pain in the butt. Never quite had one so difficult to deal with. I'm going to try to get this guy back on here again. Put it in a different spot, and if I don't break more of the ledge off. Although I do believe that even though I cracked this, part of me thinks it's still usable. But you can buy, you can order these pieces online, but they're not that expensive. I mean, they're more expensive than you'd want to pay for this little piece of plastic, but hey, that's the Brunswick way. Brunswick wouldn't have it any other way. And look how nice and smooth. Oh, there might be a little bit of a lip still. Nope, I got it. Good enough. We're clearing this baby now. Alright, now your cap's out. I'll kind of show you how this works. So you tighten these 10 millimeters, it compresses this. There's little rubber pieces here and here. They expand outwards as you tighten this down, and that's how that locks into here. Alright, at this point I flipped the unit upside down. Now I've got the other side here. I've got that 2.5 millimeter I was talking about. And there's a nut on the side. I'm going to get just a pair of vice grips for that. I ain't going to mess around. Alright, so I used the vice grips. I pulled the whole thing out there. I used the vice grips on the nut, and then I removed it with the 2.5 hex. So I got the nut off that way, then I just pulled this out, and that gave me my shaft collar. I was able to pull that off just like I did the first one. And just like the other cap, we're going to take the 10 millimeter wrench, loosen up these nuts here, then collapse the cap. Come on, baby. Do this just like I did the last time. I'm going to lift this up and just knock this through, or try to anyway. Now at this point, I mean, there's different ways I can remove this. I can take this whole shaft out now, and then I can just kind of slide hammer this through the vise, just kind of wham, wham, wham until it comes off. Which is what I'm probably gonna do here, rather than try to mess around too much and break something. So I'm gonna move this roller. So here is the shaft removed from the roller, and now I'm going to slide hammer this guy off like I said before. I'm just gonna make that just about the size of this cap. Can't get any further. I can slide this all the way down. I may just do that instead. Unfortunately, this is being a pain in my butt. Not coming right off the shaft like it's supposed to. So, hold on for a second while we rework this situation. So what I've done is I've just slid this down. I'm going to try to take it off the bottom side where I've already done all the filing and stuff. And I'm just going to, same as I did before, I'm just going to slide hammer that, but I'm going to go the other way. Now, taking this off this way. And it should slide off relatively easily from this point. Now, success. So now we just have a shaft with some holes in it and some wear. Now you can really see that wear there. That's why we're changing out this shaft. It's not as bad on this side, but it's all rusted and wore out. So yeah, best that we just replace this. All right, come a little closer. Now we're investigating the cap itself, and we're gonna take out the bearing. In order to do that, we need to move these washers out of the way. So now, this is a carriage bolt. It's got a square at the bottom that locks it in back on this side. So as long as we keep this down on something as we're working, we'll be all right. The bolts won't fall through. We'll take these nuts off the rest of the way. And notice I am holding down on this cap with my hand, so that way I don't have to deal with the bolts coming out. And I'll show you that in a second here. So now, this is exactly why we didn't remove the nuts when we took the cap off. Especially the very first cap. But as soon as you do, all of those bolts come falling out of the bottom. So, just for reference. And now you can kind of see the square underneath the head here, and it's going to lock in to a square hole right there. Just make sure that you got that turned the right way and pushed in. Should all be flat. I'm just going to hold these while I turn this back upside down. I need to get to this bearing. How do I do that? Well, same way we did it before. We're going to open the vise just large enough that the bearing will slide through without any problems. Now, I will take, generally I take a, just an ratchet extension. This one's beat up from me doing this already, so it's all bent. It won't work anyway. And I'm just going to tap this out. Look at that. That was even easier than the first time. But looking inside, I'm literally just going in between here, in between these little fingers when I'm knocking it out or whatever, until it comes out. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. These bolts, however, are a pain in my butt. Alright, so now we got to put a new bearing in there. So I'm going to get 2 new bearings. Alright, and now I'm going to pop this bearing in here. On this one, you can just use the shaft collar as kind of a because basically when you're trying to drive these in, you're not driving them in on this brass face here. You don't want that to get damaged at all as you're pressing a bearing in. So we're going to work either from the outside ring or the inside ring. I like to work from the inside ring myself. It just makes things a little bit easier. That guy is in. Now all we're going to do is put our washers back on and get the nuts on. But we don't want to put them all the way in because we don't want to start compressing these pieces of this cap just yet. I'll keep turning this one so I don't So I'll get them as close as I can without actually tightening anything. There should be some looseness still here on this washer. Like this. You can see there's just a little bit of play there. Check to make sure I'm still recording. Alright, same thing here. Third one. Here we go. Good there. So yeah, now those nuts are holding in these bolts, so I don't have to worry about that. Nothing's compressed here, so this will just slide right into the cap. Or right into the roller, sorry. Here I have a brand new shaft. Look how nice and shiny this guy is. So I'm going to take this new cap and put it on. I'm going to use the shaft collar like I did before in order to drive it down. Working with the inner part of the bearing race. Since this is a brand new shaft, this is going to be a lot slower. Working it on, just make sure you don't mushroom out the ends of the shaft. That is a very important process to this whole situation here, is not mushrooming the ends of the shaft.
Blackout 23, blackout 23.
Well, I'll be darned.
Zero.
And I realize you can't really see what I'm doing here, but just taking the shaft collar, using it to drive this cap down onto the shaft. I think I just got this stuck on here somehow. Well, ain't that exciting? I'm having the time of my life. Another turning point. This is some bullshit though. Oh, and you know it is, you know. You know what Nicholas is gonna do to you. It's true. That's what Nicholas will do. And I hope you know this right. This ain't happened in the time of his life. I guess just drive it on. Don't worry about getting it off. That's another point here. Shoot. Alright, so I've gotten my cap off. I had to vice grip it. It's got some marks on it now in order to get it off, which at least I got it off. I'm going to turn this the right way so that way when I drive this on this time I ain't got to deal with all that baloney. But I'm going to file this out a little bit here just to get a little, be able to get this on the shaft better. Alright, so we've got the shaft collar on here now. I took it to the grinder and filed away any bull crap on here. I'm going to hammer this guy on. I'm going to use the other one to keep hammering this guy on. You can see we're making progress here. Slowly. I'm going to have to adjust this a little bit so you can see better. There we go. Okay. Same process. Hammer, hammer, hammer. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to drive this until I've already kind of lined up the holes so you can kind of see through here. But I'm going to just drive this down until I can see that hole where that bolt's supposed to go through. We are there. Got a new bolt. I'm going to stuff it right up on in there like so. Ta-da. I've got a nut. I have to take a piece of broken thing out of. Okay, so now I'm just going to go ahead and put the nut on. This pair of vice grips or needle nose or whatever, and then just tighten this up. You don't have to tighten this up like so it's super tight. I just get it snug. You don't want that thing to get broken stuff. And now we've got a turning shaft. This is ready to go into the roller now. Here I've got the roller. Set that up. And I'm going to take the shaft and stuff this guy right up on in here. Drop ever so nicely. Okay, now I'm going to pick the roller as a unit. Flip it, holding the cap, set it down, and now we've got the other side. This is the other side here. Well, actually it's over there, it's broke. I remember I broke the lip off a little bit when I was doing some things there. I'm going to take this bearing out now, just like we did on the other side. So that same process. Remove the bolts, knock out the bearing, put the new one in. This one looks pretty new. I'm just going to change it anyway because I don't know what if this roller was serviced or if this cap was serviced or not. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Holy crap! A brand new roller and bearing. Yay! Alright, now we're going to put that on. You gotta kind of get him in there a little bit. Oop, just moving. Slowly the pooch on that one a little bit. This guy right here would probably be a wiener. So, we've got the collard greens. I gotta take this little nut off this thing. It broke. Time here, we're going to tighten this guy in with the 2.5 hex. Alright, now that your roller is in, you can now crank these hose down, these little 10 millimeters at the top, crank them down, crank. You don't want them to go too far. I can turn this just the right way. You never want the tips of these to get any further past this, which somehow is possible. As you can see, the bolts have somehow come in contact with something there. I usually believe it's over tightening. There could be some other issues there. If the roller falls out, we're gonna crank this down. I usually get about 5 threads hanging out ish. Four or 5 pins. You'll be able to feel it start getting tighter, and this should be locked in now. So we wouldn't be able to pull this black cap out of here. Gotta flip this over and do the other side. Alright, these caps are nice and tight. They got brand new bearings.
Blackout 35, 07.
I should be able to easily roll this roller. It's rolling perfect. This is good news. Now, there is a little bit of a, there's no gap here, but on the other side, there it is. So I'm going to set that a little bit. I'm going to flip it back over. I'm going to try to equidistant that gap. Oh, lost my roller. My cap. Alright, and I've got this equidistant now. I mean, basically this collar's not touching the bearing down here. I'm not even sure it would matter if it would, but the overall left or right of the transport belt would probably be affected, so, or might possibly be, but that's what the point of the centering rollers. Anyway, so that's it. That's how you do the front and rear rollers on a GS series short pit machine, 443 and above, I believe. That's the right series. Anyway, have a good one.